Hey guys, welcome back. I am currently breastfeeding and today I'm going to talk about things I wish I knew before breastfeeding. There's quite a few things that you don't really think about when you go to breastfeed, or if you're thinking about breastfeeding while you're pregnant. There's a ton of things out there that you can read and get knowledge on breastfeeding, but these are just personal things that I wish I had either looked up or just known in general that somebody has told me or anything like that before breastfeeding. So the first thing is that breastfeeding can hurt a ton. For me personally, it hurt for the first couple weeks, but I went for a nipple guard just because he didn't latch super well in the hospital, and that's what I had started him on, and that works great for us. So we still use it now every once in a while. Sometimes he will latch without it, but it's just because he's spoiled and that's kind of what he's used to. So we're learning to wean him off of that. Your body goes through so much while you're pregnant, so much through giving birth, tons of things that we forget to, this is like TMI, but my doctor while I was pregnant, she was like, play with your nipples, like roll them, get them hard, do whatever you need to get them ready for your baby to latch. And I didn't listen. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, I just didn't think about it, but I wish I would have listened to her and my mom's friend, because they had both told me that and I didn't. So it was hard for him to latch, and that's why he does use a nipple guard now. The other thing is, if your baby doesn't latch right away, don't get frustrated. If you get frustrated, then your baby's gonna get frustrated, and that's just not gonna help the situation. So really try to stay calm while you, really just try to stay calm while you're trying to figure out how to breastfeed and learn everything while you're in the hospital, and ask tons and tons of questions. Each hospital has a lactation consultant. If they don't come talk to you, you can ask your nurse to have them come talk to you. But just be super patient and don't get frustrated if your baby doesn't latch. Like, Camden didn't latch and we opted for a nipple guard, and that helped us a lot. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of go about, and that'll help you out with latching. So along with that is cluster feeding. Cluster feeding is basically when your child is growing and they eat a ton in a little bit amount of time. So there's been days where it's been a couple of days, and Camden, I feel like he's on my boob all the time and I can't get anything done. But that's cluster feeding, and that just means that they're growing. But it is really, really hard when you're breastfeeding and your child's cluster feeding, because you feel like you can't get anything done. Like, you need to do laundry, you need to take a shower, like schoolwork, regular work, tons of things like that you can't always get done if your child is cluster feeding. You kind of have to push it off a little bit, and there's some things that you totally can get done, but you just kind of have to pick and choose of how you're going to do things. As a mother, I wish I knew how important calorie intake was when you're breastfeeding or are breastfeeding. In the beginning, I had really bad food aversions, and I was just thinking about him. I wasn't thinking about myself, which you do need to think about yourself, because what you put into your body goes straight to your baby. So you really, really need to think about yourself and think about the things that you're eating. So to meet the 2,400 calories that they kind of set for breastfeeding women to intake, I definitely wasn't meeting. So I would stand up and I would get super lightheaded. I would see black spots. I would see stars. It would be completely black sometimes, and I would just have to sit down and I would just like have to chill out for a second, because that's just so draining. Like, your child is taking all the nutrients out of your body. So sometimes to meet that calorie intake, I would have people go get me fast food, and I would try to take in those nasty fatty calories to meet my calorie mark, instead of trying to eat higher protein and tons of vegetables and fruits and grains and just everything like that. I was eating fast food to meet the calories instead of healthy calories to meet that mark. So that's really important. That's really important to think about as well. So another thing is, some women leak and some women don't. I was never engorged when I came home from the hospital, or even at the hospital. My milk didn't come into the hospital, but when I was home, my boobs did not engorge to where I hurt a crap ton. I leaked through pads. I've never once leaked through a pad. What I do notice is that when I go to nurse, he'll be on one side and I'll notice that my other boob will start to get tingly in a way, and that's how I know I am getting ready to leak or this boob needs to be expressed, but I don't pump, so I can't quite express it in the way that it really needs to be. So I had purchased a Hacka at Target. You can purchase them pretty much anywhere, like Amazon has a ton, and they also have like tons of different brands. I really recommend that because you can just suction that on your boob while your baby is eating on the other side, and that helps tremendously. I have gotten like 3 or 4 ounces at once just letting it flow out of my boob instead of into a pad. But also when you have a pad on and your bra is up, it kind of compresses your boob so you don't leak as much as if it's just into an open container. So along with that, my goal is to breastfeed for 1 whole year. If I can continue to pass that and continue to breastfeed, I totally will. There's just a lot of good benefits to it, and it's a lot cheaper. And I just love breastfeeding. You build like a great bond and a great connection. But these are my things that I wish I knew before breastfeeding, and I hope that those can help you guys out. And there's also tons and tons of other like videos and anything on the internet you can look up or ask your doctor. Those will help you as well.